Welcome to Tech Startup Stories, hosted by Natalie Binns. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the B2B startup world.
Hi, I'm Natalie Binns, and after many years as a marketing leader in the B2B SaaS industry, I set up Hey Gabby to support startups and scale-ups with their go-to-market and growth needs. I work with so many great founders, and that's led me to want to hear their stories and share them with others. And that's why I set up this podcast. So let's get into this week's podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast. And this week I'm going back in time. 12 months ago, I met Mike at a networking event in London. Surprise, surprise, Mike at a networking event, like that never happens. And we got chatting, and then obviously I got him on the podcast in season 1. And he's back after a year to give us an update and tell us how things are going. So excited to have you back on the show. Thank you so much for being back with us, Mike.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It was such a pleasure to meet you, and then obviously record a show with you last year. I still go to an incredible amount of networking events. I still enjoy it. It still gives me joy and energy meeting new people. And so, yeah, networking is still my life, even though right now my baby is my startup, of course. You're still going to run into me for sure. And any random networking event you might go to, there's a chance I'll be there.
Absolutely. I was looking on LinkedIn earlier. I think we've got a shared connection level of like 115 people.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps it should be more, who knows? But I know that you definitely do tons of networking. For those of you that don't remember or didn't listen to episode 5, I think it is, of season 1. I'll have to double check that. Mike shared with us some of the things that he was expecting Introstars to do last year and some of the things that he hoped to happen in the future. So we're just going to take a moment just to listen to what Mike shared with us last year.
If you're helping other people, it's all great. But if they close £100,000 deal, you should get rewarded, right? It should be fair. Everyone needs to be fairly compensated. So it's all about helping others. You're not doing anything for money. You're doing things to help others because you've got a good heart and you're a good person. You want to make the world a better place. But on the other hand, you need to be fairly compensated. Everyone has to be a winner. So it's finding that right balance, right? And I think Introstars is trying to strike that balance and make the world a better place, but make shitloads of money for introducers as well.
So given that, Mike, give us a little intro on who Introstars are. Remind our listeners, and for those that missed your episode in season 1, remind everybody what Introstars is all about.
Yeah, really, it's all about connecting amazing people together to create opportunities. So I love to go to networking events. I love to introduce people to each other. My spiritual mission in life is to connect millions of people in the world to create opportunities. And so Introstars is really the platform I built to enable that for millions of people. And so in a nutshell, it's a platform for high value business introductions, which are tracked over time. And if a business deal comes out of one of those introductions, the introducer gets rewarded a percentage of the deal. So the idea is you can not only help other people by introducing them to potential clients or business partners, but you can also have a win-win situation where if they close a $50,000 deal, the introducer gets paid a few $1,000s as a thank you. And so really it's an ecosystem of really rewards and introductions. So everyone's always a winner. And so the use case is B2B sales. So it's service providers, consultants, people selling a product or a service, looking for clients. They describe their ideal customer on Introstars, and then introducers can make those introductions for them. And again, if a deal comes out of it, they'll get paid a few £1,000s or dollars per introduction. So really, it's a platform for super valuable introductions where everyone's a winner, everyone wins, everyone's happy, and we create opportunities for everyone. So my ultimate big picture is for millions of people to become introducers, where that becomes the ultimate side hustle for all of us to make more introductions, to go out of our way to make more introductions, to create opportunities around us. So that's what it is in a nutshell.
And I think this is nothing new. In the olden days, many, many years ago, when we were community-led, you would say, oh, you need to borrow a saw, go and ask Fred, and Fred will lend you his saw and then you can give him some potatoes or whatever. I think that the idea around creating a community where there's a shared investment of value in you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's just taking it to a digital level, which I think is really interesting, given that the very reason that you guys exist and the value is that people buy from people. And because we've become this digital world where, social media ads, everybody, goes online and there's just so much information about all the products out there, you'd more likely trust people for a referral for something to solve a problem.
100%. Everything's based on introductions and referrals and recommendations. So, in an age where everyone is being spammed by AI spam bots all day long, you get spammy AI messages in your inbox, in your LinkedIn, in your WhatsApp. You don't trust any of it anymore. The only thing you do trust are messages coming from people you actually know. Because you know that person. So if they recommend someone or something, you will trust that information, that recommendation. And so really, we're in an age where it's all about human trust and relationships and fostering that to the next level. So that business model of paid introductions and referrals has existed for thousands of years. As you mentioned back in the day, might have been swords and potatoes, right? But nowadays, it's obviously money. The only thing is, it's always been a bit under the table. Like if I introduce you to a client and you close a 50,000 pound deal, you might pay me 2,000-3,000 pounds as a referral reward to thank me. But it might not be official. It's maybe under the table. It's a gentleman's agreement. We might sign a referral agreement or not. It's kind of a vague grayish area. And so I wanted to take that existing business model, which is well established, but make it more transparent and more scalable and crystal clear for everyone involved. There's no misunderstanding. It's not a maybe. It's 100% clear from the very beginning. And so I'm taking that analog model, which already exists for hundreds of years, and making it digital and creating the platform, the infrastructure to scale it for millions of people, whether you're a business looking for clients or whether you're an introducer who has a big network, but still need to pay your bills and want to create value for everyone around you. So really, I believe the sky's the limit. This could revolutionize business for millions of people, for millions of businesses, and help millions of people build a side hustle as introducers. Now, with AI taking over all our jobs and loads of people losing their job, now what is the new job they could do, which AI cannot do? That's relationships, introductions, connections. That AI cannot replace that. And I think millions of people who have lost their job are trying to reinvent themselves, trying to find purpose in life. And what is the best purpose in life than to connect humans, to connect people? I mean, it's the most beautiful spiritual thing you can do. And at the same time, you can earn shitloads of money, right? I'm talking millions of dollars and pounds by just connecting people for deals. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for millions of people. I just want to make it more transparent and scalable.
Brilliant. And so, in the last 12 months, you were hoping to see some, great growth. You had initially focused on bringing on the people that would do the introductions, as well as the people that would, be wanting to sell their wares. And I know that, when you kind of first started out, your initial thoughts were, well, it's going to be really easy to get people that, want to sell their product, but it's going to be really hard to get those people that want to make the introductions. And actually, you'd said to me 12 months ago that it was the opposite. And I'm keen to know, firstly, how your last 12 months have gone. And secondly, have you seen any shift in that in terms of your overall engagement with the audiences you're going after?
Yeah, and so we've done a lot of events and partnerships with event organizers, community leaders to get people on board. And we're right now at a stage we've got more than 250 service providers on the platform, which is really great in every possible industry. Lots of consultants, agencies, real estate, IT, marketing, business. So we're very happy with that, and it's growing, of course, every day. And that's purely by going to networking events, meeting people, talking to service providers, etc. And so we realized getting those service providers on the platform, by the way, we use the term intro seeker. That's the word I invented. Intro seeker, people seeking introductions, typically service providers looking for clients. And so every time I go to any networking event, people who are there are typically salespeople or founders looking for clients. So those people are quite easy to find. The other side of it is the more tricky one, finding introducers who are happy to go out of their way to make introductions and to do it on the platform. And so we focused our efforts on a subgroup of people who self-define as super connectors. Now, what is a super connector? What does that even mean? Well, if you go to LinkedIn and you type super connector as a search term, you're going to find 10,000 results of people who self-define as super connectors. These are people with a big network who love to make introductions all the time. But right now, they're mostly doing it by email, by WhatsApp, by LinkedIn. They don't have a system or a tool. And so we're trying to offer them Introstars as the tool to do it. So everything is tracked and it can be rewarded. And so to attract those super connectors, we're doing a bunch of events and dinners for super connectors. We've done a bunch of them in New York and London. I've also partnered with super connectors to spread it to their community. And we have our own podcast called The Super Connectors. And over 1 year, we've had more than 70 episodes, 70, which is quite amazing. We always shoot these episodes in person in London and New York, and soon in Silicon Valley, where we bring people in a studio for like 5 or 10 super connectors. We interview them back to back, and then we all go for dinner or drinks together afterwards. So it becomes, we build this mini community of super connectors who, and I don't have to explain to them how to make an introduction. They do it all the time anyway. That's their thing. So it's very easy, right, to get them on board. It's just about giving them the tool to do it. And so we've seen a lot of success with that, working with super connectors. We've also, in the last 12 months, we've expanded New York is our major, first city in the US where we're really building our efforts. So we hired a super connector in New York who's part of our team. He's called Ben Yerkesen. He's the ultimate super connector in New York. He knows everyone. He's been to 1 million networking events. He's really a version of me, a New York version of me. Younger, better looking, more charismatic, and he just works the city, and everyone loves him. So he's my guy in New York. And right now, this year, we're expanding to Silicon Valley, literally next couple of weeks, very soon. So we're going to have an equivalent super connector in Silicon Valley help us expand on the West Coast of the US. And then next year will be about taking over the whole of the US. And so the last 12 months, we really built a whole community in New York. So that's great. So we've got our foot on the ground in New York City on the East Coast. And we've reached more than 2,000 users on Introstars. So it's growing really fast. We're super excited by that. And we just launched a brand new recommendation experience where when you go to Introstars, instead of trying to figure out who you could introduce and go through all your contacts to try to figure it out, we now tell you, say, hey, introduce John to Sarah, click here. So it becomes so easy, like a no-brainer. Just go there every day, once per day, log into Introstars. It gives you 3 recommendations, make the intro or dismiss them if you think they're not relevant. 1 click away, and boom, off you go. Make it great introductions, and then in a couple of weeks, you just get an email saying, hey, there's $5,000 waiting for you here. Click here to retrieve it. And so we made it so much more easy to recommend what introductions you can do. And it sounds very trivial. It took us 1 year of development to make this happen because it's not trivial at all. Many platforms out there ask for a lot of personal data from users. They ask for all their contacts. Like people would have to download all their contacts and put them in some kind of startup system somewhere so we can analyze all your contacts and give you recommendations. That's exactly what we don't want to do. I do not want to ask any contact information from our users because I think it's very precious data. You don't want to share your contacts. You spend 20 years of your career building your black book of your contacts. You're not going to just give that away to some random startup you've never heard of. So I think that's an approach we deliberately did not want to take for obviously data privacy issues, GDPR issues, risk of being hacked, all that stuff. So we do not ask for anyone's contacts. We do not hold your contacts in any way, shape, or form. But we figured out a super smart way to give you amazing recommendations on who to introduce. And so again, took a lot of effort, but it's amazing. Now it's there. It's magical. It's like literally a magical experience. And we can't wait for people in the world to start using it and making the world a better place by connecting people.
Amazing. So what do you think has been your biggest challenges in the last 12 months? What have been the hardest things that you and the team have been going through?
To be honest, it's been a lot of conversations with users and super connectors to understand how are they making introductions today and how can we move that into a more in a platform based approach where it's all tracked by a platform. And so really that's kind of changing people's habits is obviously very difficult. There needs to be something in it for them. And so far we've kind of danced that delicate dance of finding a user journey which works for them, which adapts to their current way of doing things, but also gives them rewards and tracks things over time. So it's not been easy, to be honest. The user journey has changed quite a lot. We've had like 35 iterations of the product. We've had lots of different versions. We tried different things. And we really figured out that just asking people to log in and ask them to make a bunch of intros was just too much cognitive overload. It's just too much to have to go through all your contacts and figure out who you could introduce. Like just working with lots and lots of super connectors, we realized they just have too many requests. They get approached by hundreds of people per month asking them for introductions. And it's just too much cognitive overload. And so we had to figure out a way to make it so easy for them. They don't have to think. You just log in and do one click and boom, it's there. We tell them what to do. And it took a long time to get there. So that was a big learning experience, just figuring out how to remove every point of friction in the journey to make it literally completely frictionless. And I'm going to tell you, one of the ways we also had to figure out is what does it look like visually? Like where do the buttons look like? Where do you click? How to make it visually appealing? How to give you a bit of a hit of dopamine when you click? So all of this is non-trivial. It's not obvious. Like it was a lot of research. But the funny thing is, this is really funny. I had an epiphany a couple of months ago. Literally, I went to a spa in Belgium with my brother. And in this spa, I went in a sound bath. So if you're not familiar with a sound bath, it's like a room where everyone lays on mattresses. You close your eyes, you're very relaxed. There's like 20, 30 people in the room. And there's like a guide in the room who plays music instruments, but very soothing sounds like crystal bowls, like flutes, like drums, but it's all very soothing and relaxing. It lasts about an hour. And so during this hour, you're kind of half awake, half asleep, because you're so comfortable and your eyes are closed. And during this time, when your brain is kind of half awake, half asleep, you start to get loads and loads of inspiration and ideas. And it's kind of you see all these images of what you could be doing in your life on a personal level, on a business level, etc. So while I was in this sound bath, I had an epiphany, a vision of what the user interface of Introstars needs to look like to be successful. I literally saw it in my head. Like I had like screenshots appear in my head, which is crazy, right? It's like, wow, this is amazing. And I just saw it and I just knew that's what we need to do. And when I saw this screenshot, afterwards, I hired a design agency to help me design it professionally and make it not just a mock-up I did myself in 5 minutes on PowerPoint, but actually make it as a proper professional design. And that's what my software developer built based on the vision, the epiphany I had. And we spent a bunch of months figuring out how to make it work technically, because it's not just about what it looks like. You have to make it work, right? How do you give our users specific recommendations on who to introduce without knowing anything about them? So again, it's non-trivial. It's not something someone can copy in 2 minutes. Like it is really a lot of work has gone into it, lots of experimentation, but we're super excited to have launched it. It's really a game changer. I truly believe this will change the world for millions of people to make introductions every single day. It becomes like a thing you do every single day, like 3 minutes a day, click, 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 bam, done. I think it's amazing. And it all started with this epiphany in a sound bath. So again, really incredible way, right, to get inspiration. Some people get inspiration when they're running, when they're in the spa, when they're taking a shower, when they're on the toilet. Could happen anywhere, but it just happens a sound bath is a great way to get inspiration. So I couldn't recommend it highly enough to any startup founder out there who's looking for inspiration. Do a bunch of sound baths.
Amazing. So you're basically scheduled now to go every month, I'm guessing.
To be honest, my gym here in central London has a sound bath 4 times a week. So I can go across the street to my gym and they do sound bath here. So I don't have to go very far.
So I think it's interesting because so many founders are so busy trying to do the work that they're doing, and getting that perspective and the opportunity to kind of step away from the business and think clearly and more objectively is extremely powerful. And you've given the example of the sound bath, and many people, to your point, do it with running, walking, taking the dog out, showers, whatever. But how much of your time do you dedicate to taking yourself away from the day-to-day to trying to have more of an objective perspective, because when you're not, doing the product development or whatever, you are networking as well, which, there's constant work there. So how much of your time are you getting away to kind of really think about the bigger picture and the long-term vision for the company?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that it's still valuable for any founder to go to a bunch of networking events, maybe not every day, but maybe once a week, just to meet new people, because every time you meet someone new, they can always give you a fresh perspective you haven't thought of, or introduce you to someone else who could be very relevant to you. So even if you go to a random networking event with people who have nothing to do with your industry, these are just a bunch of random strangers, and you might think, oh, it's completely irrelevant, it's a complete waste of time. It is not a waste of time, because each one of these random strangers can introduce you to someone who could be super relevant or could give you a fresh perspective. And you never know that in advance. So you cannot plan for that. You can't strategize, say, I'm going to go to this specific networking event to meet that specific industry or whatever. No, just go to random events, meet random people, and everyone you meet could open this fresh perspective for you or open a door. So I take this very serendipitous approach to life, where I just let myself guide, and I just go to a bunch of random events, and I always have fun. I always enjoy myself learning about other people's perspective. And to be honest, I've been pleasantly surprised so many times by unexpected encounters where people gave me a fresh perspective. And so I think it's good. It's a good routine for any founder out there to go to maybe one event a week, just talk to 5 or 10 people and learn about what they're doing, and ask them their perspective on what you're doing. And you might be surprised. You're going to have fresh perspective, which will make you think about something you haven't thought about. So for me, that's definitely part of what I'm doing. So I go to lots of events, meet people all the time. Second of all, I do a lot of self-care. Like I go to the spa every day in my gym again. I take yoga classes. I do weights every day. I walk in the park like 3-4 times a week. So I take care of myself a lot to be in that state of mind where my mind is very relaxed. It's not stressed about work all the time. So my mind is ready to absorb new ideas and get inspiration and download, potential ideas from the skies. If you're always stressed on working on one thing at a time, your mind cannot be open to new ideas, right? Because you're so focused on what you're doing. And so, yeah, if you take time for that, only good things will happen. But it's a balance, right? You just should do some work as well. You need to focus sometimes. It's not all about going to the spa every day. I think there's that balance.
Yeah.
Like you need to get shit done as well, right? You need to get shit done, get some work done, but then let yourself guide from inspiration. And then a big chunk of what I'm doing is my podcast, The Super Connectors, where I meet really inspirational people who have done it, who are very successful in whatever they're doing. They already have a massive network. They've spent 10 or 20 years of their career building their network, meeting people, connecting people. And just for me to talk to them on my podcast, or obviously after the podcast or before the podcast, that's amazing. I mean, that's a privilege to be able to talk to peers who also have built a massive network like me, and who are in a very different industry, or again, have a very different perspective on things. So for me, that's been extremely interesting. And I'm going to double down on my podcast. I've done 70 episodes. I'm going to do 100 more, right? So this is just the beginning of the journey. We're just getting started. I think that's been an amazing opportunity to work on that. So again, I'm going to double down on that. Then obviously be a guest on other podcasts like yours. Always love to have a conversation. So yeah, my advice for any founder out there: try to have your own podcast, go on other people's podcasts, go to networking events, spend time in nature, do some sound bath, go to hot springs, or if you can, all these things will elevate your game, bring you to the next level, for sure.
Great. And what do you think has been your biggest win for the last 12 months?
I mean, for sure, it's been raising money. I raised money from an investor, $300,000 from one investor. So that's
congratulations.
Thank you so much. That was an incredible win. And it happened completely serendipitously. I was on vacation. I met, a guy who was there. I went to Machu Picchu in Peru, and we started chatting. We became friends. And he was an American from Boulder, Colorado. And then I went to Boulder 2 months later to see another friend who lives there. We just went for coffee with that guy I'd met in Peru, David. We just went for coffee. It was supposed to be like a 1-hour coffee. Ended up being a 6-hour coffee. And when I went for dinner as well. And then the next day, I thought he was gonna, and he was interested to invest in my startup. We had a long conversation, but in my mind, I thought he was gonna give me maybe $10,000 or $20,000, right? And whatever, which is fine. And then he asked me how much you're raising, and I said 300,000. And I asked him how much you want to invest. He said 300,000. And like a few days later, he gave me $300,000. I mean, one guy. And that was someone I met on vacation in Peru, and just right time, right place. Right connection, right spiritual alignment. We're both in the same journey to connect people, to make the world a better place. Very purpose driven, right? Similar mission in life. And it's finding that person. And again, that's not something you can plan. You have to be in the right place in the right time and open yourself up to serendipity and have amazing conversations with people. Be vulnerable, open up so people can trust you and feel the same, right? We opened up. And so again, it's all about creating those moments. So yes, lots of people do it the traditional way. You would send 1,000 cold emails to potential investors. Sure, that can work too, but I know that's not the method I would do. I'd rather focus on relationships, people who are aligned with me, ask for introductions, meet other super connectors who can open doors for me. I think that's a better method. And obviously, when I do my next fundraise, I'll work with all the super connectors I've had on my podcast. People I've built relationships with. For me, that's a much better method than sending cold emails to 1,000 random people, of course. So work with your network, with people you've built trust and relationships with. One more reason to have a podcast. Build good relationships with all your guests and make sure they're happy. So we create a WhatsApp group for all our guests. We did dinners, we did events to build this kind of community of all the guests on your show. I think that's a great way to do it. So again, to answer your question, my proudest achievement for the last 12 months is definitely raising money, which was amazing because thanks to that, I could build a team. So I built a team of 4 people and we're about to hire a 5th person. We've launched in New York. We're about to launch Silicon Valley now. So that's super exciting too. We launched this new intro recommendation user experience based on my sound bath vision. Again, I'm very proud of that. I'm super proud of that in the last 12 months. So again, it's all coming together. So many different things. But no, they're all interrelated. It's not one thing or the other. It's all these things, right? It's the podcast, it's the new recommendation feature, it's the investment, it's the momentum, it's getting more than 2,000 users, it's building a community in New York, hiring a super connector in New York. It's all these things kind of converge to create a movement. And so I'm very excited by all of it.
Absolutely. And we talked earlier about the fact that, you're doing all sorts of different events. You were at South by Southwest. You kind of travel around and get around. And you also mentioned earlier about your in a previous podcast about your background as a technical person, but being a super extroverted technical person, which is very rare in this industry. Do you ever get to the point where you feel drained from all of this, kind of networking that you're doing?
To be honest, like everyone, I get very energized when I meet someone interesting and have a great conversation. But sometimes, there's only so much you can do. You might be tired after a long day, and that's fine. And you just leave. The real thing is not to have any FOMO, like fear of missing out. So if you always have FOMO thinking, oh no, I need to stay at this networking event to speak at least to 8 people, otherwise I cannot go home. Even if I'm exhausted and my brain is exhausted, I'm still gonna stay there because I need to meet 5 or 8 people, whatever it is. That's the wrong approach. Like if you just meet one person, you feel exhausted, just go home and that's it. And have no FOMO because there's 10 more networking events tomorrow and the day after and the day after. There's infinite amounts of networking events every single day in every big city. And so really don't have any FOMO. If you feel tired, just don't feel like it, just go home and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So the reality is I get energy by talking to cool people. It gives me energy. So I'm rarely out of energy. I'm a very energetic person in general, but it does happen, like everyone, I'm human. Sometimes I'm exhausted. It does happen. And then I either skip the event completely, don't even go there, or I go 5 minutes, talk to one person, say, hello, how are you doing? And I just go home. And of course that does happen sometimes. So, like everyone, I don't always feel like talking to loads of people, but just as an example, going to South by Southwest, it was like 25 events over 4 days. I went to every single one of them and I didn't feel tired. I was energized. I was excited. I lost my voice though, too much talking, which is fine. But I was so energized by the vibe of the whole place. So I did manage to go out to a lot of events. But here in London, sometimes, some days of the week, I have two events in my calendar, and I decide to stay home. Like, no, I'm not feeling it. I'm tired today. I just want to watch a movie or have a nice dinner, and I just don't go to any events, even if they were in my calendar, they were planned. I think no, I'm just not feeling it. That does happen, of course. Um, so and I don't have any FOMO. It's like, yeah, I missed an event, so what? There'll be 10 more events next week and the week after and the week after. So it really doesn't matter. It's like, meh, you know, as long as you go to events, as I said, once in a while, it's good to put yourself out there just so you work on your social skills. It's practice. Social skills is something you need to practice all the time. How do you talk to random strangers in a room full of strangers and enjoy it and have fun? So I think it's good to practice that no matter what, but it doesn't have to be every day. Again, yeah. So to answer your question, if I feel tired, I'll just go to the gym across the street, go to the steam room, or go to the spa, do some push-ups or pull-ups, and then go to the park, listen to a podcast, and I love that as well. I love time by myself. So I'm super introvert in the sense I love to be by myself, but I'm super extrovert because I love to be with other people. And so I love both equally. It's like a balance.
Brilliant. So what do you think the next 12 months has in store for you as a founder and your company?
Oh my gosh, so much stuff happening. So our next big milestone is our launch in Silicon Valley, which happens next couple of weeks. So that's a massive milestone because so far we've launched London and New York. And so Silicon Valley is, of course, the next frontier, right? West Coast. So that's going to be a massive milestone. That's a game changer. It's a whole new community, a whole different type of energy, a whole different level of hyper connectedness and super connected over there. So that's a massive milestone. And right now we passed 2,000 users on the platform. So I'm hoping by next year we'll be at 5,000 users and then 10,000 users a few months after that. So that's the next big milestone. We just launched our intro recommendation engine. We're going to do massive noise around that. We're going to do lots of campaigns. We're going to have probably 50 more guests on the podcast. We're going to do a new video ad on LinkedIn. We're going to start doing more partnerships with community leaders. So again, there's so much in store in the next 12 months. I'm very excited. There's a lot is happening, but it's all good. It's all about growing that community and that message that millions of people can become a super connector, and we make it available for anyone to sign up for free. I'm all about partnerships. So we're going to double down on partnerships with community leaders to bring all their community members on Introstars so they can all use it as their platform to send each other referrals. So far we've signed up 25 communities on the platform. I'm hoping that's going to go to 100. So I'm going to start approaching community leaders one after another, adding them to the platform so it becomes the platform for every community in the world to send referrals to each other. So that's a massive expansion opportunity. So I'm very excited by that. And of course, after Silicon Valley takes off, we're going to expand to 10 more cities in the US next year. So that's going to really change the game as well. Right now, we're building a wait list for everyone outside of New York and Silicon Valley. So very soon, we're going to open that up as well. So it's all about partnerships, partnering with other super connectors, community leaders, doing events, a bunch of in-person events. I'm very excited by that. Do virtual events as well, a bunch of webinars. So again, the sky is very bright. I see so many opportunities out there. And I think the more people see doom and gloom with AI taking over all our jobs, the more I see opportunity, because everyone is losing their job. It's kind of desperate. They're looking at new ways to reinvent themselves, to find purpose in life. And I'm hoping we can give them an amazing purpose, which is to connect people. I think it's beautiful. It's amazing. And again, they can earn a lot of money doing it. So it's a win for everyone involved. I think that's the future. I cannot be more excited than to talk to you again in 1 year on the next podcast and see where we are then. And hopefully by then we'll be at tens of thousands of users. We'll have completely taken over the US. We'll have hundreds of partnerships, and it will be a normal thing to become an introducer. It will become the most normal job anyone could put on their business card or their LinkedIn profile will be introducer. That'll be the job of the future. And I hope we can create this whole intro economy for millions of people. I can't wait.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm looking forward to speaking to you again. Hopefully we'll speak before then.
Of course. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Always a pleasure.
That's it for this episode of Tech Startup Stories. Have a story you'd like us to share or a topic you'd want to cover? Reach out and we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care.